Let's take stock of the shares of Apple moving higher in after hours, trading up nearly 8% after the company posts first quarter results that exceed analyst estimates for sales, $46 billion for the quarter. Earnings per share more than $13. That bested analyst estimates of just $10 a share. Also, the company saying that they sold 37 million iPhones in the first quarter. Just to put that into perspective, there are only 34 million people in Canada. They sold more iPhones than there are Canadians. We'll give you more details coming up on the program. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. It lost 33 points today, down about 0.25%. Let's move on to the S&P 500 if we can. Go ahead, let's take a look. No, the S&P 500, there we go. Down 0.1%, down a little bit more than 1 point. Let's look at the Nasdaq if we can today. There we go. The Nasdaq up almost 2.5 points. All right, let's take a look if we can. Total volume, there we are, 742 million shares traded on the New York Stock Exchange, 1,600 shares advancing, 1,300 shares declining. Let's move on and take a look at the quick look at the bond market. The yield for the 10-year, 2.06%. Let's look at that 30-year, moving higher, 3.15%. That's for the 30-year. Now, we can't forget about Apple, of course. Shares are soaring in the after-hours market. The technology giant reporting record sales and profit for the first quarter. That was their last quarter. They sidestepped over the slump in consumer spending. 37 million iPhones were sold. And with more on Apple's numbers and also taking a look at other companies reporting today, let's go down to the New York Stock Exchange. We've got Deborah Kostroun. Deborah.
Thanks a lot, Pimm. Yes, Apple just really crushing the estimates here. And, the tech giant reporting those much better than expected fourth quarter results. As Pimm was saying, selling 37 million iPhones, 15 million iPads. Corey Johnson will be here later in the show to really break it all down. But as Pimm was showing, we do have Apple stock moving higher here in the extended trading session. Also, Yahoo, they reported their numbers after the close of trading. Now, their quarterly sales did miss estimates, as they say, advertising demand dipping a little bit, and we do see that stock just slightly lower here. Also, AMD saying first quarter revenue will be a little bit lighter than Wall Street estimates, $1.5 billion to $1.61 billion, and that's a little bit on the light side, and so that's one of the reasons AMD moving a little bit lower here in the extended trading session. Now, during today's session, one of the things that we saw, McDonald's falling the most in more than 3 months after it said foreign currency fluctuations would reduce profit this year. And in fact, we always look to McDonald's to give us kind of an overview of what's going on in the world. 60% of their revenue comes from outside of the U.S. Also, DuPont, that stock a little bit higher after posting, even though they posted a 10% drop in fourth quarter sales. And in fact, they said demand may not fully recover until the second quarter. Pimm.
Now, Deborah, all right, I know we focus on technology and Apple, but there's something called the European debt crisis, and that's affecting companies such as McDonald's. They talked about currency today.
Right. So McDonald's, as I mentioned, certainly a big story for McDonald's, focusing on the fact that they have this currency issue. And one of the other things that we found out today is the IMF, the International Monetary Fund, talking about the fact that they forecast global growth slowing down as Europe slips into a recession, growth cooling down in China and India. The IMF also saying that the European debt crisis could plunge the world into another recession. And the other thing that a lot of people focused on the fact was that there seems to be a stalemate over how Greece is restructuring their debt. So another thing that people were focusing in on here today. That's it from here, Pimm. Back to you.
Thank you very much. Deborah Kostroun reporting from the New York Stock Exchange.